Thank you very much. Okay, well, as you notice right here, we have a new topic on part 2, and that is, what religion was Hitler? Okay? So the first thing we're supposed to do is, do you have a question? Can I go to the bathroom? Can you wait? I need to go right now. Why don't we watch the video first, okay? Is that okay? Whatever. As I was saying, the next thing that we're supposed to do is watch That Man Is You. So, and the topic is about fatherhood. So let's go from there.
That if X number of people like this or link to it, then it's got to be true. In fact, studies have shown that even in academic circles, where the thought was the internet would be a boom to us being able to, research more articles, the internet has actually narrowed the number of articles that are cited and the variety of those articles in academic journals. Because instead what happens is you go through and search, immediately your articles come up and they're listed by X number of other articles, cite this one and cite this one and cite this one. And so immediately it's like, oh, 500 articles cite this article, this must be the best article. Well, there's something that's important about the fact that 500 people have thought it's worthwhile, but you can't truly vote on the truth. And instead, public opinion becomes the truth. We know what happens to us when we lose the ability to think deeply about problems. We accept superficial answers and we let public opinion run our lives. Well, that's a short road to disaster. I'd like to very briefly tell the story of Adolf Hitler. Of course, we all know this story, but I want to pick some things out. He's actually born in Austria in 1889. He performs poorly in school. He wants to be an artist, but he's rejected twice by the Viennese Academy of Art. In World War I, he serves as a dispatch runner. After World War I, he gains great popularity in giving speeches in the beer halls there. Well, in 1923, he's arrested for taking part in a coup. After he's released, he continues and he gains increasing popular support in politics. Well, he's legitimately appointed as the chancellor on January 30, 1933. They called for elections later in that year, and his party, the Socialist Party, wins the major number of seats. When they do that, the Socialist Party then outlaw all other parties. They do that on January 14, and effectively, Hitler has become a dictator. Now, what's important to understand is he did all this through the established legal process. Hitler didn't usurp power. Hitler went through the established process to become chancellor and then make his party the only party in Europe. Well, once he had set himself in that state, we get a short road to World War II, and it begins really in 1938 when he annexes Austria. And then we know that's going to lead to the extermination, or the attempted extermination of the Jews, where 6 million are killed there in the concentration camps. And depending on your numbers, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 million people were killed overall in World War II. And of course, Hitler will end his own life by committing suicide there in the bunker as the Allies close in on Berlin. Well, if you look at Adolf Hitler and you look at his life, he has something of an intellectual father. Not that they ever met or like that, but nonetheless we've seen that fatherhood isn't restricted to just the physical reality of fatherhood. That works both on the positive, but also on the negative. And his kind of intellectual father was Friedrich Nietzsche. And Friedrich Nietzsche took a concept that he didn't think deeply about, and that concept was evolution. And not getting into the merits of evolution, Friedrich Nietzsche nonetheless said that, well, you know what? If humanity is just the latest step in evolution, we're going to turn into something else. And if we know that, we should hasten that day. And so Nietzsche said, man is something that should be overcome. All beings so far have created something beyond themselves. You have made your way from worm to man, and much in you is still worm. Behold, I teach you the overman, or the Obermensch, or Superman. So Nietzsche was trying to hasten this day of our ascent to something higher. he wanted to take an active role. I say what is falling, we should still push. I'm a prelude of better players, O my brothers. Follow my precedents. And he whom you cannot teach to fly, teach to fall faster. That's a brutal solution, and Friedrich Nietzsche correctly identified that he was calling for radical and really drastic revolution. He saw himself as a prophet of a tragic era. I know my fate. One day there will be associated with my name the recollection of something frightful, of a crisis like no other before on earth. There will be wars such as there's never yet been on this earth. Well, Adolf Hitler accepted this concept that we're going to evolve into something beyond what we've been, and that's his Aryan race. That's what he was trying to create, was this Aryan race, and he wanted to take out anything that would somehow dilute the purity of this Aryan race. It actually began with those who were handicapped. The gravest and most ruthless decisions will have to be made. The demand that defective people be prevented from propagating equally defective offspring is the demand of the clearest reason. If necessary, the incurably sick will be pitilessly segregated, a barbaric measure for the unfortunate, but a blessing for his fellow man. That was the start of his T4 euthanasia program, where the mentally handicapped were taken off and killed. Well, then, of course, he turns his focus to the Jews. And according to his statement in Mein Kampf, which was his autobiography, he says that as I was strolling through the inner city, I suddenly encountered an apparition in a black caftan and black hair locks. Is this a Jew, was my first thought. But the longer I stared at this foreign face, the more my first question assumed a new form: is this a German? Well, then we know he attempts to exterminate the Jews. And as Friedrich Nietzsche had said, his name is now associated through his intellectual child, Adolf Hitler, with something frightful, with wars that had never been. That is Pittman-Sorokin's Intensity of War Index, which is a unitless number. But if you go through and you look at the wars that Europe had going all the way back to the 12th century, and then you look at the 20th century. Now, the 20th century was somewhere over 8,000, which was several multiples of anything Europe had ever experienced before. Friedrich Nietzsche didn't think deeply about something. He accepted just a theory of evolution and applied it to humans in a way that we would never think of. Adolf Hitler didn't think deeply about what Friedrich Nietzsche was doing, and he took it and he turned that into a system, and the whole country went for it, right? He did it by popular vote. He was elected through the proper process. And that led the world down a pathway to disaster. We know Friedrich Nietzsche had a physical father as well. Alois Hitler was born as the illegitimate son of Maria Anna Schlickgruber back in 1837. Well, later Alois will himself have an illegitimate child in the 1860s. Well, when Alois is 36, he marries Anna Glassel, who's aged 50. It wasn't considered a love marriage, and it thought he was marrying for status, as he was a minor official there in the government. Well, while he's married to Anna Glassel, he has an affair with their maid, Franziska Matzelberger, and has a child by her. Well, later, his first wife, Anna Glassel, dies, so he marries the woman who's having an affair with. So he marries Franziska Matzelberger. But then when Franz Matzelberger is dying of tuberculosis, Aloysius has an affair with Clara Poltz. Well, if you look at this, it said that Alois took little interest in bringing up a family and was happier outside rather than inside his home. What did it look like inside his home? Well, his sister says that every day Alois came home and the first thing he did was he beat Hitler, Adolf Hitler. And he said originally what Adolf would do is after he was beat, he'd be crying and whimpering, and he'd run to his mom, and his mom would try and comfort him. Then she said one day, when Alois was beating Adolf, he refused to cry. And I saw a true anger and hatred born in his eyes, and he was determined that he would no longer ever be put down by somebody else. You know, Adolf Hitler remained free, and there are a lot of children who've been mistreated in their life who didn't turn into an Adolf Hitler killing 70 million people. Nonetheless, we have to say that Alois Hitler certainly was a soil, not a very good soil, but Adolf. Somebody was using his heart, but it wasn't God.
Okay, we're going to start with number 1. That was really good. I thought it was really good. Summary of it. So the first question is, who is Hitler's spiritual father? Yes, right here.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
That is correct. Yes, Friedrich Nietzsche. So everybody write that in. I got the answer right there. Nietzsche is his spiritual father. You are so smart. Wow. All right. Did Nietzsche want to make evolution go faster so that one day we'd be a Superman?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. He did. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Now we're on the back side. Everybody turn your paper over, okay? Thank you. Did Hitler believe that we would evolve into a super race? I think that goes without question. The answer is yes. And what will be that super race? That will be the Aryan race. Okay? That would be the super race. Alrighty? So, yeah. Let's, yes?
I gotta go poop.
You have to go poop? I would never say that.
Well, maybe if you were me, you'd say that.
No, I would never say that, okay?
Well, you could be me.
No, but I'm not you.
Alright, whatever.
Alright, look, we gotta go, alright? Alright, I had to get rid of that guy. That's probably the most annoying student I've ever had, right there, okay? So, while he's going poop, then I'm going to continue on with this paper, okay? So, we're on number 3 on the back side. He's going to have to catch up. So, let's keep going. So, we need to get rid of anything polluting this Aryan race is the next logical thing. So, who were the first to go? The handicapped. Alright. So, let's see. Nope, I don't even have a question there. Let's just keep going. Euthanasia program. Remember the rationalists of our own time, college professors, etc. The media says that Christians are responsible for all wars. But if you look back at all the wars since the 12th century, remember you had that chart there? Which century took the most lives by far?
Oh.
The 20th century. Notice that his graph was way down here, and all of a sudden the 20th century is up there. And none of those were fought over religion. So the answer for number 5 is no. Okay? So number 5 is no. Number 6, what 2 peoples did Hitler put his faith in? And that would be, Hitler got the country to follow him down this path. That's what he also said, yes. I don't even ask that question, do I? Ah! Nope. And we know that Adolf Hitler was baptized Catholic. But his faith was in Darwin and Nietzsche. Okay, there's number 6. That's what if you really look at his actions, not his words, you'll find out Darwin and Nietzsche. Anybody who's seriously looking at the philosophy of Hitler is going to see this every single time. And again, he's on That Man Is You, he brought that up too. Okay? So there it is, Darwin and Nietzsche. You're writing that down. I think I'm probably zooming it right now because I don't have it underlined. And number 7, was Germany a Christian country at that time? Yes. Oh yeah, both happen to be atheists, by the way. And let's keep going. You should have paused it. Germany was a Christian country, so Hitler had to appear that he was Christian. So he'd talk about God and Christianity on occasion. So would it be useful to appear Christian? Yes. And this book right here, it talked about the times that he would use God in reference like that early in his career, because he had to appear to be Christian. Otherwise, he never would have got elected. So, I thought that was pretty interesting. Alright, let's keep going. Ironically, the enemies of Christianity will cite these pro-Christian statements and declare that religion is at the root of Adolf Hitler, and hence Christianity responsible for all the evils of Hitler. Okay? And in the very introduction of this book, he talks about that. And I even saw YouTubes on there that were making the point that Adolf Hitler was just total Christian. Oh. And that's what led to all of his vicious act, was Christianity. And documented. This thing is like crazy footnoted on different statements that people have said about it. And just because of time, I can't go into that. But the question here was, do the enemies of Christianity want to portray Hitler as religious fanatic? The answer is absolutely yes. And if you put Hitler and religion into YouTube, because YouTube designs which one comes up, most of them are the argument that Hitler was Christian. The other ones are out there, but you have to search harder for them. 9. Does Christianity fundamentally teach the dignity of every human life is sacred? You already know this. Wow. These people are amazing. Hitler is clearly living and reigning by Darwinism and Nietzscheism, and they claim Christianity guides him. Wow. Does Christianity fundamentally teach the dignity of every human life is sacred? Yes. Yes, we strive on this. And yet that was not at all in Darwin or Nietzsche's or Hitler's line of understanding. So let's keep going. Does Christianity teach we have an obligation to take care of the weakest and vulnerable, like the handicapped, the first ones that Nietzsche got rid of? Well, who takes care of them? Christians. Alright, so does Christianity, right. Doesn't Christianity teach us we have an obligation to take care? And the answer is yes, it does. Okay? Yeah, I think that might have been a double negative. That's a poor wording, so whatever you want to do on that. Okay, let's just call it yes. Alright? It's a rhetorical question. Does Jesus say, whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me? Yes, we believe that also, which is not a question. And because I had to cut a lot of this stuff out. Does Christianity see a way we should evolve into some super race? And no. That's nowhere in Christianity that we're going to evolve into a super race. Does Nietzsche say that we will and should evolve into a super race? The answer is definitely yes. Okay? And if I ask the next question, did Hitler believe this? Do I? I don't know what I say. Some of my sources come from a book called Hitler's Religion. That's where it is. Right here. When I wrote this, I just had an article about it. Now I got the book. It's so cool. Alrighty, let's keep going. Rickert writes that young Adolf was a rebellious student who frequently quarreled with his high school religion teachers and often mocked Christianity in class. So it doesn't appear to me like he was really into his faith, even as a young person. Oh, and one of the chapters I read about in this already said, let's look at Germany in the time of Hitler. Well, it's by far Christian. And there was more Lutherans than there were Catholics and very few of the other religions. And what they found out, because the church and state were a little bit connected better, that you could have religion taught by a priest in a public school. So So he would have, if he would have went to a public school, I think he did, then still you would have had religion being taught. A good sign that he lost his religion was at an early age. Wigger discovered that in private correspondence, Hitler frequently used the term Pfeffe, a despairing German term for a priest. So it's kind of a sarcastic, downgrading kind of a term that they would have him use. And so it would be something that a self-respecting Christian would never use.
Oh.
So that was number 13. Was he a rebellious student? Yes. And what word would he use portraying a degrading term? And that's right here. So this is underlined, and this is the answer for number 14. So again, this book is very well footnoted, and he says, yep, he has a lot of proof that this is the word that he would use. Okay, wait, let me go back here. I want you to pause this if you need it, and you shouldn't really, so let's keep going. Let's keep going by this book. Hitler's long-established anti-clerical was evident after his rise to power as well, when Goebbels' propaganda machine portrayed the Catholic priesthood as dominated by sexual perverts. So that was what he put in the media all the time. Kind of sound familiar, doesn't it? So it was number 15 was who was it that portrayed it? And it was this guy right here. So I'm zooming in on it. That's the answer for number 15. Sorry, it's not underlined. Number 16, name one of Hitler's trusted friends and colleagues. That guy right there, now it's underlined, trusted friend and colleague. And it was interesting reading about him. He was a personal friend from the very beginning. He was Minister of Propaganda 1933 to the end. He was one of the guys that was there the day Hitler killed himself. Okay, that's how close a friend this guy is. And he was the one that Hitler was very happy to see how he portrayed the priesthood.
Oh.
So number 17, what was Goebbels doing to his 6 children wife the day after Hitler died? He was charged with presenting Hitler to the public in the most favorable light, regulating the content of all German media. So he was making sure that every German would only read things that were praising Hitler. Okay, so it was a biased media. Oh wait, we have one of those too, don't we? Yeah, okay, let's keep going. And he also spearheaded the production of a Nazi propaganda films and other projects. He remained in this post and was loyal to Hitler until the end of World War II. On May 1st, 1945, the day after Hitler committed suicide, Goebbels and his wife poisoned their 6 children and then killed themselves. That's the kind of guy this is, who's best friend of Adolf Hitler, who was trying to make all the priests look bad.
Oh.
So it says number 17, the answer to that would be poison them. What the question should have worded, what did he do to his children? Poison them. Right there. So the answer is poison. I'm zooming in on this right now. Poison. Okay? Loving father, isn't he? Yeah. Alright, let's keep going. We're on number 18. I'm hoping to go to another slide. I am. And in Hitler's view, Jesus himself was a Roman or Greek. Hitler believed that the ancient Greeks and Romans were the persecutors of the Nordic master race killed by the perfidious Jews. And I didn't look up what perfidious means. Anyway, so, you know, Hitler had to praise Jesus, but if you said that Jesus was a Jew, how could you present, I never thought of this before, how could you present that he was of the inferior race if Jesus was a Jew? And so it doesn't work that way at all. You know, we as Christians, we can never say that Jews were an inferior race. Jesus came from. They were the chosen people. That's part of our faith. You know, we read about Abraham in the Old Testament. So we would never say that. We say the opposite. We say that they are the chosen people. That is a Catholic understanding of the Jewish race. That's a Catholic understanding of it. Hitler could not say that because he said they were a subhuman race. So he said Jesus wasn't a Jew. The Bible's wrong. Jesus was a Roman or Greek. And it's interesting he says Roman or Greek because there's actually a movement you saw back in some of those other philosophers. I don't think it was Nietzsche, it was somebody else, Rousseau or somebody, who said the early Romans, they were this master race. And there's even a group modern day that wants to bring that Roman kind of style back into the 20th century, where there's very few morals and everything. But I digress. So number 18 is Roman or Greek. Number 19, how many imprisonments and concentration camps just for being in priests? And in his book, it's clear that the Catholic Church was targeted more than the Lutherans. Again, he's got it footnoted, and probably in the future I'll be able to show you the footnotes. And in the article I read, they said there was over 2,000 priests in prison and concentration camps just for being a priest, all across Europe. 2,000. Maximilian Kolbe was one of them, and they were in concentration camps. 2,000. All right. Now, if they would have been caught hiding a Jew, they would not be in a concentration camp because you get executed for that. You don't get to go to a concentration camp. So just keep that in mind, that there were many priests that were killed right there in the spot because they were protecting a Jew. So this is just the ones that were put in prison just for being a priest. So anyway, that is number 19. Number 20, what religion does Wickert argue that Adolf Hitler was? And he argues it very quickly in his book. And he says he was a pantheist. Again, I'm going to zoom in on here. Pantheist. And I think I defined what a pantheist is. Okay, I don't. A pantheist is saying that nature is God. Oh. Nature is God. Now, to make that argument means that you have to have a lot of sources of it. Now, for me to get that, first of all, I couldn't explain it all right now, even after I read the book. The book is 270 pages long. And so in there, he's using every bit of the writings of Hitler and those that knew him to argue that he was a pantheist. So we're just going to put that there. And number 21, what would Hitler talk about almost interchangeably? God and nature, nature and God. He would speak of them interchangeably, like they were the same thing. So I can speak about Jesus and God back and forth, and because it's the same thing. Jesus is God. And that's what we do about nature. Hitler believed that the world was willed and ordered by nature, which he gave divine properties, which is more closer to Darwinism. However, Hitler's worldview was closer to materialistic awe for the orderness of the universe than the mystical pantheism. While Hitler saw nature as God, his worldview allowed little room for the supernatural. Okay? So Hitler was very practical. If you're going to do it, you got to do it yourself. Very materialistic. So 21 is still there. We're still not at 22. 22, did Hitler believe in an afterlife as we know it? For example, Hitler did not believe in an afterlife. So that's actually, did he believe in an afterlife as we know it? No, he did not. Rather, his concept of an afterlife was that the collective memory of the greatness of a nation would pass on in history. Oh. Because the Roman Empire at its prime was a great empire. And so Hitler thought that Germany would go down in history as this awesome race of the 20th and 21st century. Oh. So number 23, what word did Hitler always capitalize to show that it was a noun? And it notes while all nouns are capitalized in German, English translation of Mein Kampf consistently translates nature as nature with a capital N. In Ricker's view, Hitler actually derived his anti-Semitism in part from the racist, pseudo-biological social Darwinism of German's biologist Ernst Haeckel. So, and in this statement is there that where they could see in the philosophical terms how you could define them as a subhuman race. But again, that we won't go into. We'll just hear that nature was capital N, like a god.
Oh.
That's why a lot of times I'll take off points if people put God's name, they don't capitalize the G. And I still have students doing that. But he would capitalize nature. So the word on 23 is nature. So 24, was he a pagan? Hitler was not a pagan. Some of his friends were. And in the very, very first chapter, he argues that he definitely was not a pagan. Pagan would believe in false gods. And there's no proof of that whatsoever. Hitler cannot be called an atheist in the strictest sense because he believed in a higher power. So the atheist who says that no, you cannot say that Hitler is an atheist, we'll say, okay, we'll give you that, all right? He doesn't believe in the same God you and I do. We would never say that the Jews were subhuman. Number 26, was Hitler involved in the occult? Now, a lot of stuff is written there. Because I used to believe that he was involved in the occult, and I can't wait to read his counter-arguments, because I read the other arguments that argued he was. And so, he argues that he was not involved in the occult. So we'll see how that goes. And the other half of 26, was Hitler hostile in the policies against Christian, so did his actions say that he was hostile to religion? And the answer is yes. He was very hostile. And number 27, what would Hitler put first in politics or religion? Putting about propaganda to make clergy look bad did not sound like he was very pro-Christian. If you remember that Hitler was first a politician, then this famous quote of Seneca summarized why Hitler sometimes spoke favorably of religion. So on number 27, the answer is politics was always before religion. And finally, number 28. Here's what this guy said. The answer to the last one is this guy's name right here. Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful. And what they mean by the wise mean the highly educated scientist who has outgrown God. So that's what they mean by that. But for the ruler, very useful to appear Christian. That's what the book The Prince is all about. So 29, is there a 29? No, there isn't. You're lucky. There actually would have been a 29, but I spent so much time in those special effects that, yeah, I didn't mess with it, okay? So, this is our last video. The next time you're going to see me, unless you see me downtown, is going to be Monday morning or Sunday night when we're going to circle. So again, I extended the deadline for the worksheet 4, our last one, and note worksheet, and that's going to be everybody by Friday night. Otherwise, I'm going to be annoying you on Saturday and say, get that in, because it obviously has to be in by Sunday night, which I wanted before that, because on Monday we are circling, okay? And some of you that want to start, you can circle Sunday night if I get that video done on time. So, without any further ado, yeah, or Mountain Dew. That was funny. All right, we'll see you guys.